This video is sponsored by PCBWay.
Seth Schaefer with Division.
All right, little buddy, what do you think? You like it? Great! Hey there, this is Seth Schaefer from Team Just Cause Robotics, and in today's video, we are going to talk about Division and how Division performed at the Labor Day Disarray event. Now, you already saw from the intro, this was the first time Division has ever gotten a podium placement in a competition, and I will talk about all of the ups and downs that led to me eventually getting there. It was not an easy run by any means. Just because there were only 9 robots at this tournament didn't mean that there was a clear and easy path to getting second place. So, I'll talk you through all 6 of my fights, what went wrong, what went right, and, well, all of the drama that ensued in between. So let's get right into it. But first, I need to fix this lighting a little bit. Hold on. I want to get through all of these fights quickly because there is a lot to get through and there are 6 separate fights to show you today. I also have a few builder interviews and a few snippets of repairs in between the fights, so this is probably going to be a long video. Make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon so that you can get notified if I have to split this up when the second part will come out. And also in general, just so you can watch all the other videos that I'll be doing, because I'm on the Bloodsport team this season. We've got a lot of cool stuff that we're going to be showing off on the Bloodsport YouTube channel as well. First off, let's talk about the first fight of the event for Division, which was up against Crashfest. This was not quite a rematch, but it was against the same builder that I had fought once before with Division all the way back in March 2022 when I fought against Wreckfest. Now, Wreckfest at the time was a similar-ish robot to Crashfest, but Wreckfest had an ant-weight vertical spinner attachment on the front and a steel wedge. Unfortunately, I lost that fight because Division's battery came unplugged after a big collision, and ever since then I've been zip tying the battery connector inside the bot and never had a problem again. This was going to be a fight against a control bot. Now, Crashfest basically just has a little sand shovel thing that it uses as a lifter that's attached to a servo arm, and it's not going to damage Division at all, but it can make Division damage itself. And that is a significant risk with a weapon as powerful and unpredictable as what's on Division over here. So I was going to have to try and control the pace of the fight as best that I could. Obviously, the big target in the fight was going to be those big, juicy wheels. So my first goal was going to be in hitting on the sides of the bot to try and get those off. If I'd managed to get a wheel or 2 off, then it was going to basically be over, but I'd still have to make sure not to knock myself out by doing something stupid or running out of battery power. Alright, let's see how this fight went.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, fight! We always have to move and converting themselves, almost dividing the Crashfest hits them again and again. Either own weapon against them, sparks flying. Ducks always out to breathe. Absolutely being shoved across the arena. Flipping themselves. As Crashfest loses the wheel. No testing involved. Division hitting the arena again from a limited movement option for Crashfest. It's not looking great. That flipper on Crashfest already flipped over Division. Their weapon landing from the right like the African allows the box split. Now opening half, Division hitting the box split. Barely escaping the still humming along. Crashfest eager to lay their final safety test on them and affect them. We have Division hitting the arena for, and then the roof as they knock across the box. Some smoke being made as they hit the ceiling. Crash Test hit the box just by proximity, and it was a crash that's down inverted. As the ceiling pumped up as a result, Bastards still holding it in. Minute 47 to go as divisions oscillate severely. Gyrating as one of their TCCs bent up, they can't quite keep themselves off the floor as they spin around reminiscent of the robots. Crash Test still making an arm shake, wheel only, as the division pops the wheel. Crash Test still making their way across the ring, engaging in this fight as the division plays more sparks against their brothers. Those sparks on Crash Test immediately wild in division as they want to go in. 10 seconds of time as they're using bats off. Crash Test and division flipping over Crash Test once again. Division still laying it on them, going after them as well as they can, despite the circumstances. Both robots papered in control, but neither letting up on aggression, really trying to go for it. You have Crash Test still trying to show some movement, but they are spinning in circles next to division. He's right there, he's literally spinning in circles. Under by a second. More arena damage as you have that box shredded even more. You're in the oscillator, 36 seconds to go. Neither team ready to give up and not ready to surrender. You have some one-down weapon contact to this. That is budget. Division, flying up the box. From the wheel up, test, crash, immediately as a threat. Purpose, division still oscillating. 15 seconds to go in this match. Division being pushed around ever so slightly by the wheel, one wheel down. 7 seconds to go. This one is going to go to a judge's decision. Any last second damage? And that is your match.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Bot kits didn't last that much longer than mine, did they?
No, I think it just came unscrewed.
Well, unfortunately, that was on the side you didn't need, right?
No, that was this.
So I somehow got... I don't even know where I hit this wheel.
You had to have hit it there, because you see where you cut.
Oh yeah, I just jumped on top of you and carved straight through the top. I didn't really get many hits anywhere else, but that was a really close fight.
Kept my face towards you.
Yeah, that was very good driving on your part. I was having lots of problems turning, as you can see.
Yeah, the arena is not. It's not. Well, I have.
Yeah, the floor is really bad here.
Yeah, so.
Right, but yeah, nice fight.
I'm being lazy and not changing the frame.
And hey, the PCB worked.
Oh yeah,
it's basic board.
This is the same one I've used since March, or the first event.
Awesome.
So
yeah, I'm glad to finally get the rematch with both our robots working. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a different camera angle of that fight. I basically had my girlfriend filming from the same place that the stationary camera was located, so I won't show you the full 3-minute replay because that would drag on for way too long, and this video's already got 5 more fights to get to. Basically, that fight was pretty contentious, but Division was awarded the win via unanimous judge's decision. Personally, I feel like it was pretty close. Let me know in the comments if you felt like I deserved the win or not, but ultimately, with the damage to Crash Fest wasn't really able to demonstrate very much aggression at all, and while they weren't in control of their drive, I wasn't able to capitalize as much as I should have been able to on getting hits onto Crash Fest, because the unique geometry of that robot is such that, you know, the wheels are back here and the forks stick out all the way to here. So once one wheel is gone, it's kind of pivoting and the forks are swinging this really wide arc that actually makes it really difficult to actually get in anywhere close to the body of the robot before he just sweeps around and kind of, you know, his side forks just kind of like push mine away. And on top of that, the forks on Division, of course, on the front got bent up to the point where they weren't really being effective at any ground game either. So I was getting hindered and prevented from getting any direct hits on the body of Crash Fest for like half of the fight. Also at the very end there, I was really low on battery, which was mostly just on account of me running the weapon at close to full speed the entire match, and that was kind of a mistake. But I was glad to finally get my revenge and get a win on Crash Fest. So ultimately, happy to get my revenge for that fight back in March. Of course, right after this fight, Crash just managed to beat my other robot Shrapnel Mine at this event, so maybe we'd have a chance to settle the scores again later. Alright, it is currently Sunday, October 9th. Everything you watched up to this point was filmed a week ago. Yay, continuity. I'm now very tired from having worked on Bloodsport all week, but we finally got it into the crate and shipped out for BattleBots, so I hope to finish this video now so I can get it out to you this weekend, because I'm probably not going to have time to film anything for, you know, the next 3+ weeks while I am preparing to fly out to Vegas and then competing for 2 weeks there. So there will definitely be a break in my video schedule. No promises as to when I will have another video posted after this one, but keep your eye out and make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to get notified when I do post a video so you make sure you can watch it. Also, at time of recording, I've just passed 5,000 subscribers, which is an amazing milestone. Thank you so much to everybody who's been watching my videos, subscribing, coming up to me at events to say that they were fans of the channel or they found out about that event because of watching one of my videos. It's been really great, and I met a couple people like that at this small Labor Day event, which was just always awesome to see. Alright, moving on. My next fight was up against Caldera, the super hard-hitting horizontal spinner that is one of the perennial Norwalk top-tier robots. Now, Caldera is the first really dangerous horizontal that I've fought with this version of Division, and I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to counter such a hard-hitting horizontal. So this was going to be a bit iffy for me. We'll see how it played out.
And several other upgrade parts.
3, 2, 1.
And like I was saying, there was be involved in the day-to-day operations.
And that's a tap out.
Be involved in the day-to-day operations.
So he took the wheels off just like he did with Shrapnel Mine. I don't think there's really anything I could do other than having just pray that he doesn't hit them, so.
Alright, 3, 2.
That went badly. That was pure terrible driving on my part. I tried not spinning up the weapon to do a box rush, and instead somehow ended up driving straight into the wall. Then when I did spun up, I let him catch the back side of my wedge, spinning me around and letting him take off a wheel. And then I bounced off the wall and ended up in the perfect position for him to take off the other wheel. Pretty disappointing, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. If I wasn't going to disable his weapon, there wasn't really a way for me to win that fight. So I failed to do that, and he 100% won the fight. That was that. Alright, let's talk about my preparations for my next fight. My next opponent ended up being Revolver. Revolver is a rotator-style undercutter bot with hinged forks at the back. Now, Revolver at the time of this competition on September 3rd had not competed in another tournament, but it did compete in the Norwalk Havoc tournament a week later and didn't do super well, but it still has a big scary weapon, and it was a brand new bot going into this tournament. Revolver is by a Norwalk competitor called Eric Shao. He had competed previously with a bot named Vertigo, which was actually styled after Division with a big scary vertical weapon. So Revolver was a big departure from his previous bot, and he had some kinks that he was trying to work out during this event. Before this fight, we both loaded in. His bot's weapon didn't spin up. He had to spend some time trying to tweak it and fix it and get it working again, and then put it back out there. Meanwhile, I had only had 45 minutes to rebuild after the Caldera fight, so let's see how I actually configured my bot for this one. Because swapping the entire drive mounts I thought would take longer, I just just swapped the wedges and the weapon onto this frame. So it's the wheels that don't have the like crappy like Vitaflex thread, because I'm not trusting that anymore.
And Lobot.
Hopefully should be good to go against Revolver.
And 3, 2, 1, fight, robots, fight! Kind of? I can see it. Okay, any movement? Battery's exposed, that's a knockout.
Now that's what I'm talking about. That right there is a classic Division fight. There was a lot of destruction, some chaos, and chaotic bouncing. I launched my opponent to the ceiling multiple times, and I shredded a wheel and ripped the entire back off of them. This is the sort of fight that got Division its most destructive award at this competition. I was really happy with how this went, especially after how disastrous my last fight against Caldera was, so it was great to show off what Division was actually built to do for once. This fight is also a good illustration of why Division doesn't have wheel guards, because, you know, if your wheel guard only takes like one hit, or maybe 2 hits before it comes off like you see there, is it really helping, or is it just a waste of weight? I've been trying for the better part of a year now to try and get Division's wheels to stay on during big hits, and I never really found out that they wouldn't until that Caldera fight. So now I am spending some time trying to figure out a better way to approach that problem. But I do think that the billet chassis has worked out very well for me, and I really like how repairable it is, even though I had limited time to actually go about doing those repairs during this competition.
I'm Eric. This is my bot Division, or was. And Revolver. That's my fault. Anyways, this version never spun up properly. I've had bad luck with the 70 MPSC in this one, and that's why you constantly saw
That might be your problem.
Oh no, this was out there, but the ESC itself, I've tested this over the past few months, and it never starts up properly.
That's annoying.
This one though has a I don't think you can see it, but the belt's worn out, so I couldn't run it. I had to hope that I could get a shot, and
You have the weapons fitting at the start.
see, to start it up
Yeah.
is what the issue, because you need to put it at exactly here, and then you need to wait for a few moments while it starts up, and then you spin it up.
Gotcha.
So while I was doing that, you obviously have a fully spun up weapon. So guess what happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, bad spin up equals bad bot.
Yeah. Oh well. But it was a good fight.
Nice.
Entertaining, for sure.
Entertaining.
My next fight was going to be a rematch against Crashfest once again with Division, and this one took place at 3:11 p.m., just about 40 minutes later. So again, didn't really have much time for repairs, but fortunately all I had to do was really take out the battery and charge it and swap in a fresh one. So I went into my fight against Crashfest this time having learned from our first fight. Even though I won it, I wanted to change up my strategy. You would have noticed that I was having a lot of problems turning during my fight with Crashfest the first time, and that is because I forgot that without the outermost set of forks, my bot can tilt a lot more severely. So when I have this frame, it can kind of tilt like this, which is a lot worse for me for driving. But with the wedge, this corner of the wedge kind of hits the floor, and it makes it a lot easier for the bot to stay stable when it's gyroing, because instead of gyroing and leaning forward, it's actually just kind of leaning up against this edge and the wheel. So I decided to run the wedge, even though CrashFest just has forks, and that way I thought I'd have a lot better drive control than I had during the first fight. Let's see how that fight went.
Are you ready? Judges, are you ready? In 3, 2, 1, fight, robots, fight! Hey, look, it's a replay of the last fight.
Nice slip.
Even missing the wheel of CrashFest. Really well controlled, right? We are 1 minute into this fight, 2 minutes left. This is not good for CrashFest in this position. CrashFest still crowd walking across the arena, and the match is over. 3 minutes, it is a judge's decision. Fight, robots, fight! Hey, look, it's a replay of the last fight.
Well, that was different. What exactly happened in this fight is something that I did not figure out right away, and you'll see that going into my next fight, but I'll describe it now as if I had figured it out at the time. So, this fight was going great for the first minute and a half, obviously, but it was pretty much exactly at that minute and 31 second mark when I backed into CrashFest that things started to go south for me. You'll notice that one of my drive sides is now not quite working right, or at least it's working pretty intermittently throughout the fight. I was trying to figure out what was going on throughout the fight because it seemed towards the end of the fight, like when I turned my weapon off, it sometimes would come back to life, but for the most part, it was just dead. And I had no idea what could have caused this because I've never had this problem really happen before where on Division V3 a drive side just randomly dies. So I was fighting with that for the second half of the fight and couldn't get any really great shots, but I think my first half of the fight performance ended up clinching the win for me pretty handily. So I wasn't too worried about losing, but I was worried that the rest of the bot would just like stop working at any time because I didn't know why that drive side had stopped or what might have caused that problem in the first place. It turns out that when I backed into CrashFest, because my blade is spinning down at the back, my bot launched itself into the ceiling, and that jostled the signal wire connector loose from my receiver. Now, I didn't know this at the time, so when I took my bot back into the pits and I took it all apart, I inspected everything. I didn't notice this problem at first. I just had a time for a quick twitch test, and the drive worked in the pits with the weapon off. So I didn't know what the hell was going on. And I had another fight coming up soon. I only had about 30 minutes this time between that last fight and my next one. So I had to scramble to get ready, and I decided to just swap a new battery into the bot, and because it seemed like it was working, I just had time to switch my weapon configuration and hope for the best against my next opponent.
Still crowd walking across the arena, and the match is over. 3 minutes. It is a judge's decision.
Now is the time to thank our sponsor, PCBWay, and also talk about how their service has been used to help make Division version 3 possible. Now, you'll notice that I sell all-in-one PD board and Switch PD board as products on my web store, and I use a PD board very similar to those, though very different shape in Division. So, how does this board allow Division to be so compact as you see here, with all of the electronics just fitting into these two tiny little compartments on the sides? Well, I'll show you. This is the all-in-one PD board. You'll notice this big black box on here isn't on my Division PD board, and that's because this is a 5-volt regulator that I use to replace a BEC. Now, in Division, I actually use a separate discrete BEC, which you can't really see because it's packed in really tightly over here, but that BEC is wired to the two pads labeled BEC here. So, it's actually basically just like my Switch PD board with one key modification and way bigger. So what exactly are the differences between the Switch PD board and the Division PD board? There's really a couple different changes to make it so that it works for Division. Number one is it's bigger. It has to be, this width to transmit power from one side of the bot to the other. So I have the battery over here, drive speed controller for this side, and then I've got the receiver, drive speed controller for that side, and the weapon speed controller all packed in here, as well as a BEC on this side to plug into the receiver. So this side has like everything going on except for the battery and one drive speed controller, and then obviously the drive motors on each side. So I have to transmit power from the battery through this entire width. So to enable me to do that, this board actually uses twice as thick copper as my Switch PD board because it's so much longer. So I need to reduce the resistance of the electricity path from the battery to the other side of the bot to make it so I can handle the 50 amps that my weapon motor can draw. On top of that, I also have these extra 3 connection pins over here and here, which say S1 and S2. So you might be wondering what those are. Well, as you can see, the BEC is on this side because this is the side that I have to power the receiver on. So I actually have to take the signal from the receiver and pass it all the way back to the battery side of the board to be able to communicate with this side's drive motor and speed controller. And that is a necessity since the receiver's on that side. So I actually have not just power, but also a signal wire trace If you look at the light just the right way, you can see the raised portions of the board where there is copper, and there's actually 3 lanes. One is ground, one is positive from the battery, and one is that signal wire, and those are doubled up on both sides of the board to give me as much current handling capacity as possible. And also a little bit extra redundancy, because if I only had it on like the back side of the board, you know, if you could see this thing's gone terribly wrong, if somebody cuts through the back of my billet and slices that signal path, I would suddenly lose a drive side, but that won't happen because I have that signal path doubled on the other side of the board. So a little nick, like you see right there, isn't really a big deal because I've got some redundancy baked into this. The same exact thing is true for my switch PD boards and my all-in-one PD boards. I've got traces on both sides handling the power, so there's extra redundancy and extra current throughput on them. Make sure to check out PCBWay if you ever need to get PCBs fabricated, CNC machining, even 3D printing they offer for industrial purposes. Alrighty, this video is already pretty long. We've got 2 fights left to go. My next opponent was Left Unsupervised. Left Unsupervised is a bot built by Hijinks teammate Madeline Hagen. Madeline was also helping out with some of the event organization at this event, and I talked with her quite a bit. She is so nice and super great. One very interesting thing about Left Unsupervised is that Left Unsupervised competed in the July Norwalk Havoc event using my very own Dartbox version 1 motors. And so she actually purchased the first samples of Dartbox V2 motors from me at this event to use in her bot. So she was essentially using what is identical performance to the Dartbox V2 with Viper drive motors that I am selling on my website right now. Dartbox motors are supposed to be shipping to me and arriving on my doorstep on Wednesday. So right now they're open for pre-orders, but in theory, I'll be able to ship all of these orders out right before I leave for BattleBots on October 15th. So place your orders before the 13th if you want them shipped out on the 14th, and should be good there. So her drive performance I knew was going to be great because she's using my own drive motors that I know perform very well, but that doesn't mean that they're bulletproof. Any drive solution with a planetary gearbox will still suffer if it gets hit directly. That was the main issue that Madeline had with the first version of her robot, where she was mounting wheels directly to the output shafts of the motors. Now, quite frankly, there's nothing that you can really do to make a 4mm shaft survive a hit from a bot-like Division. So for version 2 of her bot, she is now indirectly driving the wheels on dead shafts, just like I have on Division, and using a gear coupled to the Dartbox motor shaft to drive the wheels. So because Dartbox V2 is a drop-in replacement for V1, she was able to get the motors from me just a week or so prior to the event, swap them into her bot, and use them at this very competition. She was doing really, really well, racking up wins left and right, with some struggles getting her weapon to work reliably, but the drive was working quite well throughout the event. Will it be a problem for me? I guess we're gonna find out.
One, fight, robots, fight!
right there. Come on, prove me. I'm done. Start counting. I don't count.
8, 7, 6,
Proof it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Knockout. Division winner.
I can't drive straight when the weapon is on.
Neither can I.
Oh, that was close. Fortunately for me, I managed to get a really good hit on left unsupervised basically twice in this fight, and each one seemed to knock out one of the two drive sides. The second final hit on the back of left unsupervised basically hit right in between where the motor maced the gearbox, breaking them apart. And because there's just a thin layer of TPU there wasn't much to cushion that blow. So it was very lucky timing that that happened in the last 30 seconds, and there was still enough time for left unsupervised to get counted out, because I don't really know what would have happened had this fight gone to the judges. Unfortunately, because I had failed to diagnose that loose drive connector, I didn't fix it in the pits, and of course my drive issues came back the moment this fight started. Otherwise it probably would have been a very different fight. But thankfully I scraped by with the win, and Division was able to make it into the final now against, once again, Caldera.
Hi, I'm Madeline, left unsupervised, also of Hijinks fame. I do weird shit for them. This is my robot left unsupervised after fighting Seth. So I just lost everything after one really nasty hit. You can actually see right there. It's the most damage my frame took in one hit period. You are also the only person to touch my wedge. No one else touched my wedge during this entire event. And then took off 3 screws and knocked 3 out of the top, which is the first time that's ever happened for me. So that's fun. Now, I lost all drive. My weapon dropped. That's because it was on its last legs anyway. I lost all drive, and I was like, what the hell happened? What happened was, on that one hit right there, you can see right there.
Oh, oof.
Which locked up and internally shorted the motor. So as soon as I started powering it up and down, trying to move around, it then blew up my motor control.
That sucks.
That's what happened. Other than that, I'm gonna slap in some more just cause gearboxes or dart boxes, because most people think I'm on brushless with this thing, and probably take it straight to Norwalk with not much in the way of changes.
You might want to, one thing that might help is if you take you take the motor off and add super glue to the face and then screw it back on. That's what some people have said they do with the 1806. This one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
As long as you don't get it inside the motor.
I'm usually pretty good about it.
But yeah, it was a great fight. Division looks mostly the same, except that I was having all these drive issues. I think it was due to loose connection on the receiver over here. So I had to get Division ready really, really quickly for my fight against Caldera. I only thought I would have about 30 or maybe 40 minutes to get ready. So I quickly pulled the top plate off of the right side of the bot. I inspected the wiring, saw that loose connection, connected it back in, hot glued everything together, put the top back on, then left top plate came off to swap the battery. However, as soon as I put a new battery in and closed up the top plate, smoke started pouring out of the robot.
Who the end of this.
No.
No, this is gonna go past 6 probably.
Yeah, and then of course this is after the event. What happens after the event? People hang out and eat and chill.
Yeah.
I particularly need the food.
Robots fight.
But then I plugged in the battery and it blew up because I had exposed pads. It was like these pads, the glue kind of wore off, so they were exposed. I put the battery in, it's like a foil thing, so it shorted through the frame and it just blew up one cell on the battery. But I put a new battery in and speed controller seems fine. It seems like it's ready to go for some reason.
Waiting for the weapon test. Both of them are spinning. Seth, are you ready?
No, actually.
Caldera, are you ready? Judges, are you ready? In 3, 2, 1. Heavyweight champion, fight! Ready? Keep going, Seth. Seth, can you stop your right hand move? I need control movement, Seth. Hang on. Oh, there is a breath. 10, 9, 8. No wheels, Seth. Tap out. Division, 7th place. Caldera, heavyweight champion. 3, 2, 1. Heavyweight champion, fight! Ready? Keep going, Seth. 9, 8. No wheels, Seth. Tap out.
Well, it wasn't exactly how I wanted the final to go, but at least it was entertaining. And Division getting 2nd place is still something that I'm very proud of. I am sorry I'm not more enthusiastic right now, but obviously this is being filmed 5 weeks after that event took place and I am exhausted. I am going to need to catch up on quite a bit of sleep before flying out to Vegas this next weekend. One last thing before I go. New Bloodsport shirts are in, and Just Cause Robotics is officially a cash-paying sponsor for the team this year. If you want an awesome shirt like this, make sure to check out the Bloodsport merch store after BattleBots filming has taken place in maybe 3 weeks, and we will be selling jerseys just like this out to fans who'd like them. Alright, let me know in the comments what you thought about this video. If you liked it, make sure to click like. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon. And as always, thanks for watching.